was Tangier by acclaimed Canadian singer-songwriter Selina Martin. With her convention-defying fusion of pop and art rock, she's been compared to the likes of PJ Harvey, Björk and David Byrne. Her music has been described as sneaky, beautiful, and sharp as shards. Her first album was released in 1998, and she recently released her fifth studio album. It's called Time Spent Swimming, and she joins me in the studio to tell me more about it. Welcome to France 24, Selina.
It's a pleasure to be here.
And congratulations on your fifth album. 5 albums, that's incredible. So tell us more about the title, first of all. What does Time Spent Swimming refer to?
It's sort of, it's about being between here and there. It's about not having your feet on the ground. It's about being sort of in suspension or in purgatory or being, between here and there. When I moved to France 5 years ago, to the south of France, where I'm fortunate enough to live by the sea, and swimming in the sea is one of the most beautiful things, especially, and it just takes away all your stress. But it's like, I just use that as a metaphor for, it took me a long time to land on my feet. I couldn't unpack. Getting the paperwork to move from one country to another was incredibly complicated. And then everything, I just felt like I was between worlds. And then when COVID came, that magnified that whole thing by 100,000%. If that's a percentage, I don't know if it is.
It's a big percentage.
It's a very large one. But so that, not being able to settle, the uncertainty, basically, so much uncertainty. And then I had lots of water references in my lyrics that wasn't intentional. It was just something I discovered afterwards. And Time Spent Swimming is a lyric from one of the songs on the album, and it just felt like, of the list of titles I had to test for this album, this one outlasted them all. It felt like the right one.
It's a beautiful title, and it does kind of reflect what's on the album as well. What I find interesting, and you mentioned this, is you moved to the south of France a couple of years ago, and I read somewhere that you said that you moved in order, in part, to be lonely, which is really surprising because often people flee loneliness, and it seems like you wanted to find loneliness. How did that affect your songwriting?
I had been living in Toronto for 25 years, and I have a wonderful creative community there who I miss dearly. But I think in order for artistic work to evolve, you have to shake things up a little bit. And in order to find myself, I think I had to get a little bit lost. There's a difference between solitude and loneliness. Solitude is chosen. Loneliness is the sort of not nice side of it. And I think it's interesting that in French, there's no word for loneliness. They just have solitude.
Solitude, yeah.
There were times at which my chosen solitude sort of fell over to the edge into loneliness, and that was hard. And especially, again, after the pandemic, everyone, of course, was isolated, and so things got magnified in that way as well. It helped me to make this album that is the most personal album I've ever made and most representative so far of what I want to do as an artist.
And speaking about, you mentioned the pandemic, there's a song on your album, it's called Quarantine.
Yeah.
Let's listen to that now.
Tell me, are you feeling guilty? But baby, are you feeling wrong? Is your head a wasteland? Is every little thing your fault? You think you're missing out, but there's nothing going on.
So that was the song Quarantine off Selina Martin's new album. I love the lyrics there. There's one that says, you think you're missing out, but there's nothing going on. Tell us about the music video. It seems like there was nothing going on when you were filming that.
There was no one in this abandoned amusement park because of COVID, and except for a couple of security guards. So, but the gate was open, and I was there with my partner and filmmaker Tom Meinberg, who made this video, which I love, and we sort of like, well, the door is open. Can we just go in? I had this idea. It's like, what if we go there and just shoot? Because that's sort of sad. You're in this fun place, but you're all alone. And I wanted to just get that idea of solitude. Anyway, we had to evade the eyes of security and make up some excuses as to why we were there with my blue lips and etc.
It's a very challenging obstacle for making a music video. So what's interesting is this album you actually produced, if I understand correctly, for the first time, producing your own material.
Yeah.
What is that like?
It took a long time because I generally take a long time to do things. And I had the assistance of a very good friend, an amazing assistant, Alex Gamble, who was my audio engineer in Toronto. So we had, I don't want to be talking about the pandemic the whole time, but again, because of the pandemic, it was mostly recorded remotely. So we would have sessions. I initially had a studio booked in Spain, and I had flights booked, and we were all going to go and have a fun time recording in Spain. And then, of course, everything got canceled. So we instead decided to have remote sessions, like headphones and screen sharing, and he was in Toronto, and I was initially in the Ottawa Valley living with my sister at the beginning, and then I was back in France. And so for almost 2 years, we had weekly remote sessions, and in between those sessions, I would record and write and arrange and ask other players. I have numerous great musician friends across Canada who contributed to the album, people who had home recording capabilities, who could send me tracks, and then I could say, look, can you please change that, or we can edit that, so it was a long process, a lot of editing, but ultimately it's a record that wouldn't have been made without the pandemic, and I think I'm sort of grateful, weirdly, for that.
So it's silver lining in a complex situation. It's a good way of saying it. We're going to move on to some other music news that's making headlines. And the British pop star Sam Smith has announced their fourth studio album. It's called Gloria, according to the Grammy and Oscar-winning singer-songwriter. The album feels like an emotional, sexual, and spiritual liberation. They say that Gloria got them through some dark times and was a beacon for them in their life, and hope that it can be that for us as well. It was recorded in Jamaica, Los Angeles, and London, and features this steamy single called Unholy.
You know everyone is talking on the scene. I hear them whispering about the places that you've been, and how you don't know how to keep your business clean. Mommy, don't go, daddy's getting hot at the body shop, doing something unholy. He sat back while she's dropping it. She be popping it, yeah, she put it down slowly. Oh, we go. He left his kids at home. We go, so he can get that. Mommy, don't go, daddy's getting hot at the body shop, doing something unholy.
So that was the song Unholy off Sam Smith's fourth album. This is your fifth album. We've been talking about it, Time Spent Swimming. It's incredible. You've got all these recordings, field recordings, like frogs on one song. You also sing in French on this album, which is not your native language.
No.
What's it like singing in a foreign language?
I've been here in France for 5 years now, and I was afraid initially because I knew some French, of course, but you can't just translate, do literal translations and start singing in French. I wanted to understand the culture a bit more, and when you understand the language a bit more, that's sort of the door into understanding the culture. And I had a friend in Nice, a French songwriter friend named Melchior Glibois. Ooh, it's just a cool name. I don't know anyone else named Melchior. He's one of the three kings, Melchior. Anyway, he helped me with the translation. So I would write a version and send it to him and say, can I say this? Does this fit? And he'd say, this is sort of a cool French expression you could put in here. It was actually quite a job doing the translation and making it feel legit.
Yeah, and French is a notoriously hard language to sing in as well, so congratulations for that. We've got a little bit more music news, and the collaboration between American garage rock singer-songwriter Ty Segall and his wife Danae and longtime collaborator Emmett Kelly. Their band is known as the CIA, and they're releasing a new album. It's called Surgery Channel. It marks the follow-up to their 2018 self-titled album. And this new album is haunting and seducing, as you can hear on this track, Impersonator.
They spit and they writhe, and some of them blush, because they're playing the bride. Go ahead and lump them in, but leave me out. I'm not a part of it. Words are sacred, don't misplace them. You're better than that. You're better than that.
Selina, we're very lucky today because you're actually going to play us a song live. This is a track off your album. It's called Smile. Before you do that, I want to thank you very much for being with us today on France 24. Be sure to check out her new album. It's called Time Spent Swimming. It's definitely, I've been listening to it for several days now. I can't recommend it more. For more arts and culture news, head to our website and stay in touch on social media. Stay tuned to France 24. More news is coming up right after this.
Smile, and the world smiles with you. Cry, and you cry alone. If you're wise, you will hide the tears in your eyes, and you won't be on your own. Ooh, if happiness like a butterfly flutters by your door, never catch him to bring him inside. Over here